Hello, everyone, and welcome to another series of Foundry virtual events. Thank you for tuning in today for this special webinar today. My name is Joyce. I am your marketing host for today. Just to avoid confusion, I'm not Emma. I'm just logged in as our admin account. So thank you again for joining. So before we dive straight into our panel, I want to just share a couple of things with you guys. I'm here today with one of our key Foundry partners, London ACM SIGGRAPH. I'm so excited to be here with the group. We've been building up this relationship for such a long time as well. Some of these might be familiar faces to you as well, especially if you've been to a few events here in London. So I'd like to do a massive shout out to Kate Gabriel, who is a chair at London ACM SIGGRAPH and 3D artist at the Mill here in London. Bobby, who is the vice chair and is also a lighting artist at DNEG. Ava, who handles all the events and is also a freelance VFX and production assistant. And Jessica, also known as Jess, who is a secretary and also a generalist TD at One of Us. So guys, thank you again for co-partnering with us on this webinar. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it's being built up. So before we dive straight into the session, I just wanted to share a couple of Foundry updates, and then there'll be less of me. Oh, sorry, very quickly, Jess, I'm going to hand over to you just to talk a little bit more about London ACM SIGGRAPH. Oh, I think your mic is not working, Jess. Oh, I think I just heard a little bit of noise. Oh, no, it's not working. Oh, that's it. I just heard a bit of background noise. That's it.
How about now? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Yes,
I had myself
excellent.
muted. There we go. Nice tech check.
No.
So quick introduction to us. We are London ACM SIGGRAPH. For those of you who don't know about us, we are part of a chapter of the larger SIGGRAPH. We are a non-profit charity and we are comprised of volunteers, and our aim is to bring free events to what was normally London, but now recently has been worldwide. And we are teaming up with Foundry today to bring you this event. So if you would like to get more info on us, then you can sign up to us as a member and get free information on upcoming events. And you can also check us out at londonsigraph.org on our webpage. But thank you. Back to you, Joyce.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jess, for the update. So we'll make sure to drop these links as well in the chat shortly so you can have a look at the page and you can also connect with the team as well. So now we'll get to the Foundry updates very quickly. So we have over 38 webinars on demand. So for more information, you can go onto our foundry.com/events page on any on-demand webinars, as well as any live and upcoming webinars as well. If you have any questions or you want to share any feedback with us, please send us an email on virtual.events@foundry.com. We have a busy few weeks coming up as well. So we have a Katana webinar happening this Thursday, if you're keen on joining. We've got a Katana webinar in French for anyone who's a French speaker here on November the 10th. We have a Skill Up in Nuke and Episodic Animation as well on November the 12th. So for more information, again, please go to our events page. We have a Foundry Learn section as well, where we keep a lot of our documentation, any tutorials, release notes, any documentation for developers and new trainers as well. So for more information on those, if you wanted to have a browse of that, please go onto our learn.foundry.com page. Stay up to date with us as well on our social media channels. We also have an Insights Hub section on our page where we list out a lot of case studies. We have a lot of artist spotlights as well. Again, have a browse, have a look. I think one of the latest ones we've done is with Victor Perez. So have a read. There's some fun stuff in there as well for you to learn as well. I'm sure you guys have heard of a gentleman called Josh Parks, who is a freelance senior compositor. We actually recently did a webinar with him as well called What I Wish I Knew in Nuke. He has put together a page where you can find new tutorials, templates as well, any like compositing tools, compositing tutorials you need, Nuke CG and master classes as well. Josh also does one-to-one training and he does coaching as well. If you wanted to have a look at those at the templates or any of the pricing for his coaching, please go on to compositingpro.com, and I will leave this link in the chat shortly for you as well. So calling out all the students, we do provide free one-year license. So this is for you to explore all of our Foundry's creative software through the first year free program that we do. This is also an opportunity for new students to experiment with Foundry products for 1 year and free of charge as well. So we do Nuke Studio, Mari, Katana, and Modo. So for more information on how you can get that, you can go onto our foundry.com/education/first year free page. Lastly, I just want to say a massive thank you to all the studios, to all the freelance speakers and artists who have so far participated in Foundry virtual events. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing your projects. And we're looking forward to building up these stories more and more in the coming year. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our 3 guest speakers. We're so excited to have you guys on board here to talk a little bit more about the VFX community here in India. So I'd like to introduce Nikita Nabanita, recruiter at Framestore in India. I'd like to invite Shiva Kumar Kassetti, production and recruitment consultant at Monk Studios and Destiny Logic. Avani Shukla, FX artist at The Mill in India, is currently just having a little bit of technical difficulties, so she should be joining us very, very soon. But in the meantime, we'll start with Nikita and Shiva. So Jess, I'm going to hand over to you to run the panel, and please enjoy the webinar. Thank you. Also, just one more thing very quickly, any questions you have, please make sure you drop them into the questions tab on your right-hand side so we can pick them up after the panel questions are complete. Thank you, guys. Enjoy.
Thank you. Are we all good? All can hear me?
Yes.
Good, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start with some recruitment questions. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is, what are recruiters looking for in applicants? So Shiva, will you be happy to start us off on that?
Oh, yeah. Sure. So, again, nowadays, due to all the pandemic and lockdown, work from home has been becoming a new norm, and a lot of studios over a period of time have adapted to the new developments and have like set up the work from home system. So a lot of studios are looking for artists to either work from their studio, depending on the city, depending on the capacity, and few studios are certainly looking for artists. Nowadays, there has been a small depreciation in the kind of crazy VFX job openings we got, but still there are many companies who are looking for artists at different capacities. Maybe Nikita can shed some light on this.
Yep, sure. Yeah, so at first I would like to highlight, as a recruiter, I'd be first looking at the email that is sent to me or the application that is made to me. So it clearly makes a difference if somebody writes on the subject, "Hi, I'm 5-year experience in compositing," and just the CV and the mail is just sent. So it is not mentioned sent to whom, there is no mail body attached to it. So these are something that people should avoid. There could be also circumstances where we receive email, which is just, we are in the BCC or in the 2, and there are like 50 different studios, and the mail is just sent to us. So I think these are not good email etiquettes. If somebody is writing an email, it should be properly written to whom the person, don't know the person name. It can be as the recruitment team, and they can highlight what are their career skills, why they are the best for that role. They could give, they should share their personality over there. And along with that, if they are dropping in their application in our applicant tracking system, like whichever any studio has, so they can always share a cover letter, because the CV is something which is very generic, and they can be similar also, but your cover letter is something that distinguishes you from the rest of the applicants. So I think this is what I would like to portray in terms of mailing etiquettes, what applicants should do. Now, in terms of one strong candidate, the things that I would be looking at would be a good reel, and just not a good reel, but then along with that, there should be the workflow breakdown attached to it. If they can also have a PDF which explains that, what was their context, what was their approach while they started the work, and what were the problems they faced, what was the timeline when they achieved those problems, and how did they achieve what they wanted to achieve in the first part when they were conceptualizing. So if they can give the detail of that as well, that certainly helps us. And when we share those details to the hiring manager, it also helps them to understand the candidate better. And when it comes to reel, there are again minute details, like there is no reason to make a 10-minute reel. Nobody watches it. So they can keep it as short as possible. If they have only one very good work, they can keep that and skip the rest one. So it doesn't matter. They have too many of work and it's not worthy to see. So they have to be very selective in the content they are keeping on the reel. And trust me, music is not important. Whatever audio they keep on the reel is not very important. So these are the things I would like to tell. And when they are actually applying for a role, they already know what is the job description about, what is the role about. So no need to apply for 50 roles which are available in a studio. So I have seen application when the position says head of certain department, and I've received applications from freshers as well. So I'm sure they have not checked it. They have just applied. Okay, Framestore is hiring and they have just applied. So there is slim chance they would get any roles in there. So I think these are a couple of things which applicants can be mindful of.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On top of that, would you like to introduce yourself? Even though we were waiting for Ivani, but whilst we're here, would you like to introduce yourself? Because obviously you have experience within this topic, and would you like to tell us more about your journey in the VFX industry? So if we start with you, Shiva, would you like to do an introduction?
Sure, Jessica. Thank you very much. So my name is Sivakumar Kassetti. I'm a production and recruiting consultant. I work for the Monk Studios in Thailand, and I also work for various animation and VFX studios across India and across the globe, and help them with recruitment services. I got about 16 years of experience as an animator, faculty, recruiter, and production management professional. So I am also helping a lot of organizations on a volunteer basis. This year, I am the co-chair for SIGGRAPH Asia 2020 Computer Animation Festival, and I also volunteer for ASIFA India and View Conference. So I would like to thank ACM SIGGRAPH London chapter and Foundry for organizing this event. I'm very excited about sharing my experience and see how we can support each other in getting a better career progression in these tough times. Thank you.
And yourself, Nikita, would you like to give us an introduction?
Yep, sure. So at first, it is a privilege and honor to share the same screen with Shiva, because I've known him since the time I have joined the industry. So, but I have never thought that I'd be landing into the VFX industry. This is a pure coincidence. So it goes back to a very small story, which I'll try to keep very short. So it was after my BBA, I ended up a job in Bangalore in Infosys. So I usually was at a location and I was taking different route back to home. But one day I decided to take another route, which wasn't my usual route back to home. And I came across a company logo, which was Eccentrics. So later when I went back home, I Googled about the company and I got to know they are doing some cool stuff about animation, and it was kind of exciting for me. So back then, after that, when I left Infosys for my further studies of MBA, I did my MBA. And then when I got back to Bangalore again, that was the first name in my head just to see what the company is up to, what they are doing. And I searched about the job opportunities again for that company. Luckily, there was an opening for HR intern over there. I got the job. It was into recruitment. I started knowing the jobs, the departments which are there. I started from scratch over there. And then I shifted to HR operations for a while. And then I shifted the city from Bangalore to Chennai when I got a new job in DNEG when they were setting up the new studio in Chennai, India. And I worked there for 1.5 years or so. And then I moved to the Mumbai head office for about 6 months or more than that. And then Framestore happened. Even that was a very coincidence how I landed up to Framestore. And so I have never thought that I'd be part of 3D animation or VFX. It was pure coincidence in my case.
I've heard a lot of stories about that, of people just winding up in the industry, and it's quite nice to hear that when you talk about it. And obviously you both know each other, so it's great to have you both on the board. So thank you for being here. Just to carry on from our first question, which was what are recruiters looking for? What is the best way that we can connect with recruiters, especially in times like this when everything's running online? So Shiva, would you like to give us your advice on connecting with recruiters?
Sure. So the best way to connect recruiters is probably on the LinkedIn, because being recruiters, we literally spend a lot of our time on LinkedIn, and we are pretty accessible. You can try to connect with us, and you can send us a message and say hello and introduce yourself. Sometimes we may post the openings on our wall, so you can certainly get a lot of notifications as such. And you can also try to see some good, exciting news we would share about some projects or events about the company or the news and things like that. So apart from like being active and staying connected with the recruiters on LinkedIn, it is also advisable for keeping an eye on a lot of like WhatsApp groups, especially in India. Nowadays, there are many WhatsApp groups for VFX jobs and animation jobs and game jobs. So it's always good to see who's hiring and things like that. And I would strongly encourage you to start sending your application to the respective emails which they would have shared over there. And there are a lot of other forums as such, like Animation Express and VFX Express and like Animation World Network, and there are many other online magazines which would share some news on jobs now and then. So yeah, these are the best ways to connect with recruiters on virtual platforms. Nikita, maybe you can add to it.
Yeah, I think Shiva covered all of it. So yeah, LinkedIn is a great tool where somebody can connect in. However, it is good when somebody doesn't just send a message, hi, and then how are you? What are you up to? So if there is an intention which is related to any reason, looking for job or looking for advice or anything, I'll be very happy, and I certainly do that also. So it'll be nice if somebody can put the question in one paragraph when they write to us, because we just not get one message, just continue chatting. So it's nice if you get the one message in one paragraph and we can just revert to it. And other ways can be, I'm open when somebody connects with me for job opportunities on Facebook or on WhatsApp, or they directly call me. So people can reach out to me in all the medium that they think is good enough, unless they use it in the official hours and do not ping at 12 in the night. So that's fine. And and the official mail ID, if they have mine, they can always ask. It would be nikita.nabanita@framestore.com. Or if they don't want to remember such a huge mail ID, it will be recruiters@framestore.com. They can always drop in a mail in here. I think, yeah, these are all the best ways they can connect to us.
Thank you. Yeah, I find LinkedIn extremely helpful. It's something I've always used, and yeah, it's great. I understand what you're saying about keeping it short and sweet, because I can imagine you're overwhelmed by messages. But this ties us into another question that we're moving on to, which is, what are the best online community platforms to showcase your work on? So I guess similar to reaching to recruiters, but more for your portfolio. Shiva, do you have any information on that?
Yeah, sure. So most of our portfolios would be in a video format. So I personally prefer Vimeo, as it is more professional and it's pretty well encoded in terms of preserving your high definition quality. And also it has very less number of distractions, you know what I mean? And it's more professional. So I would encourage you to upload your work on Vimeo and then post it on LinkedIn in the end. Again, I'm sorry, I always like to go back to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is like a hub for a lot of things happening, and you have specific forums on LinkedIn as well. And Apart from this, I have very small advice for a lot of junior artists. Uh, don't try to submit your blogs to the recruiters and say, hey, listen, I have uploaded my stuff from my school assignments and this is my first work and blah blah blah. It's good to show your first work, but when you submit a reel for a recruiter from a top animation or VFX company, they would expect to see your best work. So it's always best to tailor your work samples or tailor your reel and put only your best stuff put forward and send it across. And again, you can be on ArtStation or anything else. It doesn't really matter. Like, it should be easily accessible, and it should have breakdown. It should have cool stuff, and in the end, that should be fine. Apart from this, you should also try to remember that nowadays there are a lot of specific forums for skill specific softwares or departments. You should try to see if you can get to join those forums either on LinkedIn or on Facebook or any other particular website, and see if you can constantly post your work and ask for people to comment it or critique, and see if you can get some kind of you can promote your work as such. Yeah, Nikita, over to you.
I think I completely agree with Shiva on this. People should have as much of network they could. Luckily, because of the virtual world that we live in right now, it is not very difficult to get the comment or feedback to work on them. So yeah, there are many LinkedIn groups which are department specific, Facebook groups which are department specific. People can join and post in their work for feedback. And there are sites like ArtStation, Vimeo, which are more professional and recognized. So as Shiva also said, don't show your 50 work, which have some of the substandard work also. You can show just one good work. That's good enough. And along with that, there's some exciting news also to share. Like Framestore also has a microsite, which is F Education, which is for the entry level or the freshers, and they can just submit their reels and they would be getting a detailed feedback from our creative departments regarding their work. So if people are interested, they can drop in the chat and I can share the link with them wherein they can submit their reels. I'm sure not many people are aware of this, especially in India. So I think Indians should utilize this part. And again, we have another platform, which is a mock interview, which currently we have just kept in halt due to the few number of applicants, and we'll be revamping that program again by November end. So this is again just to give a glimpse to everybody. People can just register themselves for the mock interviews, and we'll be selecting people based on the questions that they have submitted, and we'll be meeting them just to give them an idea of how a real interview looks and feels. So this is actually very helpful. So I think anybody who's really looking to have an feedback from a company, they should utilize F Education that Framestore has and the mock interviews program that we are having, and both are free of cost and people can really be helpful by that.
Great, thank you very much. I know there's a lot of examples of how to showcase your work online, so it's definitely something we can all brush up on and gather more information from. So moving on, are there any organisations that you know of which run events for the local community? So like this one, it's great for networking, but do you know any in particular?
Yeah, there are tons of them, I can say, Jessica. Especially in India, we have many communities in different parts of India who are constantly try to do some events and workshops or talks and so on. To name a few, I can start with Asifa India. Asifa India does a lot of webinars, and I think each and every webinar is free, and you can definitely go and subscribe to the webinar and see if you can attend these sessions. They're super helpful. And Tasi India also is doing phenomenal work by having some series of webinars with some really great speakers. And then I think like there are a bunch of other like YouTube channels who are trying to do some kind of interviews, and there is VFX Express who is constantly trying to get interviews done by some top artists and share their information. And again, we don't need to not necessarily limit to all the events happening in India because of this virtual webinars. You can literally try to attend any webinar happening in any part of the world. According to my knowledge, there are many similar like sessions happening in a particular week or in a particular month, and most of them are most of them are recorded and would be available for you to watch later on. So I think a lot of great things are happening, especially like companies like Foundry or ACM SIGGRAPH and the other conferences. They're doing a great job by trying to help and support everyone in the community and help the ecosystem to be more stronger to get back to the glory days. Yeah. Maybe Nikita, would you like to add something?
I think Shiva has answered that on a larger context. I would also want to say from a recruitment front or more from an employer branding front, there's another event that happens during April, May in Bangalore, that is GFX. So that is one of the major events that happens in India. And yeah, I think the visibility of these events certainly needs to have a wider range. So I think Foundry was sort of successful in terms of making it more visible to the audience. Talking about the registrations that we got, the number was huge. So so I think the visibility needs to little improve, or else I agree to whatever Shiva told.
Thank you very much. That's really insightful, especially when things are all online at the moment and we can't get out as much as we want to. It's really important to have these events, so thank you.
Sure.
Here's a very general question, but very, very important because our industry is built on teamwork. How can we support one another? So Nikita, should we start with you for this one?
Yeah.
This is a very, very interesting question. So I think we all can support each other. Me being part of the recruitment team or being part of just an employee in Framestore, Shiva being a consultant, a freelancer, and the mentor in the industry, and everybody who is part of this webinar, whoever is listening to us, all the attendees. There are few attendees who could be from a very young background who have just started their VFX journey or not yet started, just joined this session just to know about VFX. And there would be industry professionals as well, junior to senior, and many other people. So I would say there is a huge range by which we can connect and support each other. Like, for example, if I have a strong recommendation in a company and I know that company is hiring, so I can always recommend that person, hey, why don't you check out this profile, and maybe it suits your requirement. So that can be done, and people also do refer to me if they have any profiles to refer, or in terms of if somebody needs any help. I think I've already highlighted about the projects that Framestore is running for the entry-level artists. So I think there is also a great platform for people to come in and showcase how they can reach out to industry professionals, just showcase their work and get a very critical feedback on their work. So I think these are the few ways that I can think of that we can support. I think Shiva can elaborate more on this.
Sure, Nikita. Pretty good insights. Thank you very much. So to add to what Nikita has said, I think there are other innovative ways to look at how we all can support each other. One, probably by participating in these kind of like virtual events and like see if we can network and try to be having openness to hear about other people's thoughts and their plans and their challenges, and see if we can really spend some time with them. I think I'm trying to say we should be willing to get mentored and also mentor. it should work either ways, because these are the tough times we are in. We only know what we know. We might not know what we don't know, and the only way to do this is having to talk about stuff what we know, and share the knowledge, and do what Foundry and ACM London chapter is doing by really making a lot of people to come and share their knowledge, and give them some tips and tricks and so on. And apart from this, it will be lovely if experienced artists can start talking about what makes their career progression much more fruitful. According to me, like a lot of people of my experience, we would hit some kind of a plateau in our career. Let's be very open about it. And how can we avoid hitting the plateau is one thing. How can we start adopting some new skills and new technologies, and bring some additional values to the table, so that we keep playing some important role, and see to that we inspire our juniors as well. So the bunch of things which we can certainly do, but it's all about mentoring. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's really important to give and receive critique. What do you think, obviously with everything changing at the moment, what would change after the COVID-19 pandemic is over? Are there changes in the studios already? Are you seeing any changes personally?
Nikita, would you like to start, please?
I think one of the major changes that we have seen is the shift to work from home from regularly going to work. So I think one of the major thing which was never possible in our industry, considering whatever way the fashion that we work on, or obviously our clients won't allow taking the work to home for various reasons. So yeah, but it is temporary. I do understand the moment the things gets back to normal or something, then most of the workforce is always going back to work, because of the nature of business that we work in. We just cannot keep working from home like forever and always. Like what I meant, the 100% of people cannot work from home always. So I think this is one of the major change. Apart from that, we miss meeting people in person in office. So yeah, apart from that, I don't think anything has changed, because we still have a regular catch-ups with our teams and everything. So I don't think anything has changed apart from our system moving from office to home.
Shiva, would you like to add on to that?
Yeah, sure. So lately we have been, I'm speaking about a few selected studios in India based on a little bit of my experience. So we have been seeing how important it is for all of us as artists. It doesn't matter like junior or mid-level, to be more independent, because when we work from home, when we work remotely, we don't have the luxury of having a lot of our seniors or leads and supervisors and all the necessary support. So it has really taught us that we need to be more independent and try to be self-sustainable. And again, like we see a lot of new encouraging things happening, especially on how artists and the tech IT teams and the studio management collectively, they're making an efficient pipeline and make all the projects happen. And in future, this might be more of a hybrid mode. There might be a norm where people might say, hey, listen, maybe you can work from home for a couple of days, and you can work from studio maybe for 3 days in a week and things like that. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. And I can see we have Ivani here. Welcome, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I
just come on the internet cafe and been able to join.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you here. Would you like to give us a quick introduction? We're a little bit tight on time at the moment, but if you could give us an introduction to yourself and what kind of field you're in, your journey through VFX, that would be really great.
Yeah. So hello everyone. My name is Avni Shukla. I've been in this industry for almost 4.5 years. I started my journey by pursuing BSc in animation and VFX. And post that, my first job was in a Bollywood studio. So here things were a little tight and the deadlines were really strict. and even the schedules were pretty unrealistic. I was kind of like in this, like, how am I going to work in this field? But after that, I joined DNEC. Here, everything was pretty heavenly. The schedules were pretty great, and here I worked on some very amazing work like Godzilla, Avengers Endgame, and there was a Disney movie called Togo. And I was really glad to work in such movies and be part of them. Then post that, I really wanted to try my hands on advertisement. So I came to the mill. Here I worked on some great advertisements like Adidas, BBC, and Foods. I think my journey has just started, and I'm really excited to be in this ever-changing field and try my hands on it and just be a great part of it and contribute to it.
Great, thank you. So we're just going through our preset questions. So I'm going to start with you for the next one, since you've just joined us. What would you recommend for people who are at the beginning of their career, especially today?
You're mute, Avni.
Oh, you're muted.
Just unmute.
There we go.
Yeah, I think there are like two options. First of all, there are people who are self-taught and who are very disciplined, who do it that way. And then there are these institutes that teach you. So they have these courses of be it 1 year, 2 year. I did a bachelor's program. You can even do diplomas. I think this is very important because it kind of gets you into like the basics of how the field operates and how you can work around it. And then after that, you have some people, like you have a network that you have in this field as well. Once you are in a college and you get to know people, and then post that, you can even see tutorials that are there on the internet. Apart from that, once you're done with your diploma program, I feel a showreel is very important in our field because that is what gets you going. And once you have a showreel, there are some quick tips that are going to give for the showreel as well. So you need to keep it short. Like I see many beginners, they have like a showreel of like 5 minutes. And so what happens is the shots that are in the beginning are the ones that give the first impression. So I think that really needs to be considered. And apart from that, the showreel doesn't need to be like, it shouldn't be the shelf tools. Like you just click and then create that shelf tool because people have seen how the shelf tools look. So you need to create something that's really creative and that's really up to the mark. And you need to show iterations like that. Yes, you were at a level you started with and then you came to this level. So there are some iterations that you've done. Then apart from that, you need to maybe match it to a reference, especially when you're beginning in the field, so that you can show that yes, you can match to a level. And these are some of the tips that I followed, and I feel people should also follow. And yes, those are the tips I'd like to give to the people who are starting their career. And I think this field will really help.
Thank you very much. That's really kind of you to say. Nikita, would you like to tell us on some tips for people starting off their career?
I think most of the people about education. So yes, there are majorly there are 3 ways people can get in. One is a diploma course, one is a degree course, and one is a master's degree course, which usually people do in India. So that's the way they would get their base of their qualification to join any studio. And then a reel, there has to be a good reel, which we have already discussed in the beginning. What are the elements of a good reel? So I think the most important thing, be it their beginning of the career, or be it they're in the mid-career or in the advanced level of their career, is they need to have a very good attitude and a good communication. When I talk about communication, I don't emphasize only on English speaking or something. I emphasize to be able to understand what is being told and to be able to tell what they have in their head or how they want to describe about their work. So they should be able to be expressing what they are thinking and what they want to say. So that's important. Attitude is very important because we work in a field where there are constant feedback changes from the lead or the clients and everybody. So having a mindset which is open to taking feedback is really, really important. Without that, no one can be successful in this industry, no matter how much ever talented they are. So I think these are the 2 things I would like to tell, that express yourself, to be able to sell your work, what you're working is very important. And having a good attitude is a mantra of all.
Great, thank you so much. Shiva, would you like to add on to this question?
Yeah, Avni and Nikita has pretty much nailed it. They cover a lot of stuff, but I absolutely agree with them. It's all about positive attitude, and trust me, I have seen myself hiring managers taking critical decisions by ignoring the experience nor the talent when someone hasn't got the right attitude. So it's all about right attitude, and uh, yeah. So I think we can move on to the next one.
Great, thank you. So we've got one last question before we move on to questions from the audience, and that is, what was your working environment like before the pandemic? What were the benefits, and what do you think can be improved? So, Avani, would you like to start us off?
Yep. So I think the working conditions were pretty good, like because of the production schedules and the people being around. We had this pretty nice way of working, and we could interact, and that is something that I missed during the pandemic. Like we lack that kind of interaction. Even if we have interaction within our department, we lack that interaction across department. And like asking the lighting guy, like, what's going on in your department? What's the new thing happening? We have monkeys to like answer that at least. But I think the working conditions were pretty good. Apart from that, I feel there are my other colleagues who are working in different companies who do not have the best working conditions because of the unrealistic deadlines, unrealistic production deadlines. And I feel one thing that really needs to happen in this field is we need to see more stability so that, like, if I am a parent, an Indian parent, I could let my kid be in this field and I could proudly say that he's an artist, because that is one thing that's really lacking in the Indian community. So I feel like we really need some kind of stability. Apart from that, I feel like that engagement that I said, and yes, I would also like to add in this thing, like, I feel like government should take in some steps to come in our industry and, regulate so that no artist is underpaid and no artist is overworked. Definitely, I would recommend that.
Great, thank you so much. And Shiva, would you like to add to this?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, like, very importantly, we miss the luxury of having technical support right when we need them, and also have any kind of creative supervision when it is necessary. We miss production a lot. Usually production would be like behind us all the time and try to follow up on stuff, and we miss all the like meetings we used to have which are pre-planned, and we miss all those unofficial meetings which we have over a cup of coffee or during the lunch, and all the chit chats we have, because all the great ideas and solutions might not arise from just having a formal meeting or formal discussion. Sometimes when we talk over coffee or when we are just chit chatting, sometimes we come up with some brilliant ideas and brilliant solutions. And the biggest advantage of like working from home is it has taught us that we need to be more adaptable and more independent, and we should always try to resolve stuff mostly on our own, and can't wait for someone to really look into the stuff and things like that. So there are advantages, there are disadvantages, but overall the world is facing the new change, and we all are facing the same, and we all should accept and adapt to it, I can say.
Great, thank you. And Nikita, would you like to finish this off?
Yeah, I would say working conditions are pretty much the same, apart from the one major difference, that is our desk has shifted to home, and nothing major has changed on that front. Maybe artists would be having more thing to say because they have to log in somewhere, they have to complete certain work. So I think for our end, I don't think there's any major change apart from working from home. Yes, we miss our colleagues whom we used to meet at work or something. Otherwise it's fine. I think I would wrap up with that.
Great, thank you so much. So We're going to move on to questions from the audience, and there has been quite a few. And there also is an option to upvote a question. So if you do see a question you want answered, definitely upvote it. Joyce is going to join me in going through these questions. So I'm going to start off with the first question, which is for you, Nikita.
Okay.
When is Framestore planning to start its new Mumbai branch?
Okay. So Framestore is already present in Mumbai. If the intention is know about the hiring plan, it would be in 2021, not in this year. And whenever there's some concrete needs to share, I would make the announcement on LinkedIn, and Framestore itself will also make the announcement on their page. So just hold on, wait for 2021.
Thank you. Okay. So
Should I take the next one?
yeah, go for the next question.
That's great. I thought this question was really interesting. So this was from Sayali. How should 12th grads reach out to stuff like selecting colleges or courses at start, especially when they're confused to get into animation or VFX or cinematography, etc.? Who wants to take this question?
I'd like to.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So I feel first of all, you need to see, do some research on what is going on in the industry, like which are the softwares, and go for colleges that are specially teaching that software. Even if things change in the industry, you need to stay up to date so that even if you start with a software that is running in the market, that would be more beneficial. Apart from that, you need to as well see, you need to do a course which teaches maybe both visual effect as well as animation, so that in the course of 3 years or 2 years, you have the flexibility to choose to switch to animation or to switch to VFX if you'd like. So you need to keep your options open, because initially when I started, I was really keen towards animation, but I ended up being in FX. So you might like something from outside, but while you're working in that industry, you might choose something else. So keep your options broad while you're starting, and try to go for a diploma course, maybe 1 year or 2 years. That would be helpful.
Yeah, I would
Thank you
like
so
to
much.
add
For that.
something.
I'm sorry.
I would like to quickly add to Avani, Joyce. So yeah, of course, I agree with Avani. And apart from that, it is very important to understand that there are hundreds of options out there in India, especially for somebody who is in 12th grade. So don't go and fall for the website or the kind of reels they would show. Very importantly, try to do some research, especially in understanding how well they are in terms of staffed. You look at their mentors or their trainers and see to that their trainers have actually worked in the industry for at least some period of time. And very importantly, look at their track record and see, are they focusing only on tools, or very importantly, are they focusing on fundamentals? Because tools are just tools. Anybody could learn the tools on their own with some documentation. But what is important is all about the fundamentals and basics. It's all in the basics. If they are not teaching those basics right, it would be difficult. And I would strongly encourage everyone to focus on art as well, because even though you might be working on in a back-end department like lighting or FX or CFX, it doesn't matter. Still, I would encourage you to pay attention to art, especially drawing or sculpting and things like that, and move on. And yeah, you can. It doesn't matter you are choosing a 2-year program or a 3-year program, but what is important is, in our industry, we respect the graduates who might have done BSc in animation or engineering in animation and things like that. But very importantly, we really don't really give a lot of value for those certificates which you bring to us. Ultimately, what matters is your portfolio, your attitude, and your ability to really be like a plug and play, like a production ready when we put it inside the studio. So please remember that don't really give a lot of importance to those certificates. Very important, we give importance to the faculty, their curriculum, and how successful are their prior students or in the industry. Yeah. Nikita, would you like to add anything to this quickly?
I think I completely agree to what Shiva has told. Research is the key to everything. You have to research where you're getting into. And while you study, there are many people, as Avni also said, they started at one end and they ended up doing something else. So there are n number of examples when that has happened. So eventually people will be learning. So initially, the key to everything is when you have to choose what you have to do, whether it's animation or VFX, whatever you want to choose, or gaming. You have to first research which are the education institutes which are providing that, which were the best ones, which is the track record of their past students. So that is something one has to research. If there's anybody here who has mentioned this question, if they're interested to talk about this, please do ping me on LinkedIn. We can talk about it privately in detail. I'm happy to help.
I think one more thing I would like to add to this is you might even need to see the kind of placement that the college is providing, because initially you don't have contacts in the field and it might be very difficult for you to like get in the field initially. So if you get colleges that really give you like maybe 100% placement, then that would be also helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for answering those questions. Jess, do you want to take the next one?
Yep, let's go. I see this question quite a lot, so I would like to bring this one up. If you want to become a compositor, is it necessary to start a career with Roto or as a prep artist? So I see this one quite a lot. So could anyone answer this?
Nikita, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it is important for you to start as a roto and paint artist and then move on to compositing. Obviously, one cannot do a movie level of compositing in your reel, so you cannot impress a comp supervisor or a VFX supervisor, whoever is evaluating your reel, or the recruiter who will watch your reel at the first hand by your showing your compositing work, because obviously you will not have it. I'm not discouraging you, but that's the actual fact. So it's good to have a very good roto and prep work, which could be of an entry and junior level, and you can showcase that and state, hey, I'm interested for entry level. Usually people join in roto and prep and then eventually move to comp or something. So that is a better approach than starting from comp in the beginning. Or if you can start, I'm talking about from Framestore perspective only. Like if somebody gets a chance to work on a smaller studio and start as a junior compositor and then apply in a bigger studios, that is again a possibility, but it's always good to work on your roto and prep strongly when you're in entry level.
Fantastic. Would anyone else like to add to that question?
Yeah,
I agree with Nikita. Sorry. Please go ahead, Siva.
go ahead, Avni. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree to Nikita, but even I've seen students like who get into this industry and become artists, and like they do like 2 years of roto and 3 years of roto and forget about their main goal of getting into compositing. So I feel you need to stay with that passion that yes, eventually your main goal is to get into compositing, and that is what eventually would lead you to the compositing. Otherwise, if you just get lost in roto and prep, you might just be there then.
I think it also depends on evolution, Avni, because as we said, people started at one end and then they realized, no, this is working out for me. No, this is not working out for me. I need to do that. So this again depends on one. The best part of our industry is it does not restrict anybody to be in one domain. They can always change if they have an interest. If they have the in that they have to do that, they can achieve it. It just depends on what they want. So yeah, so
Okay, I think we're finished with that question. Are we all good? Over to you, Joyce. Would you like to pick the next question?
Yeah, I have just picked up one question right here. Again, this is quite student focused. I'm a paint art. This is from Ashish. I'm a paint artist with 1 year of experience. I'm looking to change my role to a production coordinator. Is that something that is possible, and what is expected of me when applying? Who wants to take this question?
Yeah, I can take this. So Ashish, we understand that you have about 1 year experience as a paint artist, and you are looking to change your job from being a paint artist to a production assistant or a production coordinator. So first and foremost thing you need to understand is being a paint artist is kind of a individual contributor role. Getting into like production is more of a even if you're a starter, we almost treat like the fresher in a production to be playing some kind of a leadership role where you need to be able to have some people skills and management skills and so on. So definitely it is not an impossible thing to do it. But if you wanted to do it right, first and foremost thing is you need to understand all the like must and should to skills to have to becoming a production assistant or a production coordinator. And second thing is you need to be excellent in your communication and see to that you provide great leadership skills, and you should have a lot of patience and be able to deal with a lot of different people and still manage them with the right spirit. On top of it, you need to have some kind of a tech skills. What I mean by tech skills is about the tracking and projections in spreadsheets and Excel sheet, and you need to be very good in terms of your email communication, so that you may be able to communicate well with your artists and your reporting managers as well as the clients and so on. I think it's maybe we should talk offline. If you get chance, please ping me on my LinkedIn, and I will definitely able to help you with some tips and tricks. Nikita and Avani, would you like to add to this?
Yep, sure. So I think you were told most of the points. So what is the eligibility to be a production person entry level? It is good communication. It is good understanding of VFX work. If you have minimum also, that's fine. That can be taught. Tools is not very important. We don't expect you to know the tool. Obviously, since you are a prep artist, you might have familiarity with the tool. So that's an advantage for you. So you need to be very good in terms of communication, and not necessarily you have to be an extrovert. You can be introvert, but very good with communication. At school or in college level, you might have shown certain characteristics like leadership or working in team or executing a project on time, because you might have done something significant for which you would have achieved it. So you can just ascertain yourself whether you stand out on handling those areas. If you do, you can be a good production person. And movement is quite possible. It does happen all the time.
I definitely agree with Nikita and Shiva. One thing I would like to add to this is, as a production artist, yes, you need to have communication skills, you need to have the leadership skills, but you also need to understand 3D as well, like what happens in new, what happens in FX, what happens in lighting. You need to understand those aspects as well, so that you're able to judge and you're able to present and describe to the artist. In case you're taking notes, you need to understand that bit as well, so that you can communicate with the artist and he can communicate with you as easily.
Thank you for answering all this question. Jess, handing over to you.
Okay. There are so many questions and they're all so good.
Yeah.
So there was one I just spotted. Okay. So this, I guess, is for both in the industry and outside. A degree, is a degree important to work outside from India or not? And also, is it important in India? Is it important to have a degree? Or if you have a good show reel, do you have to have a degree? I think that's what the person is asking.
Sure. So degree is important, but again, it's not compulsory, because it doesn't matter if it is a top VFX studio or a top animation studio. In the end, they would just need to see if you have a degree, to see that you have got some kind of a formal education and you have been respecting the assignments and finish off your assignments on time and do a lot of practicals and get study the theory and have some kind of a discipline. So apart from that, degree might not really help you to get jobs and things like that, especially if you want to really work abroad and do some job. Completing your degree in India or in overseas not give you a guarantee of a job, but it will just help you with some kind of a paperwork, especially for your visa or work permit and things like that. So degree might be important in animation and VFX. Probably in some pipeline TD roles or R&D roles and so on. But again, end of the day, what matters is your show reel and how would you tackle the practical test if in case they give you any practical test. On top of it, it's all about your attitude and the way you present and approach the job search. And again, if you wanted to work abroad, again, you need to remember that you need to be extraordinary and exceptionally talented to make sure that some studio would be willing to go out of their way to sponsor your visa and offer you a good package and hire you. So usually, experienced artists would be able to get the opportunity to work in overseas studios. It's very difficult for freshers to get a job in an overseas company because every country would have priority to hire their local citizens first and foremost. Only then they would be willing to consider like foreign like artists and so on. Would you like to add anything, Avni or Nikita?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, you go ahead
Yeah,
first.
please go ahead.
No, that's okay. You go.
Thank you. So I feel like, first of all, in our industry, especially when you're working in India, a show reel is very important, even more than a degree. You might have a degree, and I see some of my former colleagues, like they had a degree, yet they did not have a show reel. So every time they applied and the companies asked, could you please share your show reel as well? And they wouldn't have a show reel. So I feel somewhere a show reel might be more important than that degree that you have. When you're applying for jobs outside, a degree especially at some points when you're applying, and it does give you some value, but I feel a show reel is really important. Apart from that, if you're doing a degree and then you have like that kind of mentorship from somebody who's an expert, and that kind of can drive you to make your show reel better. So in that term, a degree or maybe a diploma might help because you have somebody to guide you on what is the right path. Because when you're doing it on your own, you might be stagnant at a position, and you might not know where to move ahead. You might have that creative eye, but not everyone has it. So if you don't have it, then I would definitely suggest that you should go for a degree or a diploma where you have a mentor who can guide you when you're stuck.
Okay.
So, quite to that, I would like to add, like degree is more, as Avni said, to discipline you or give you some clarity on what are the deadlines to work on. That's first thing. We'll talk about the practicality of how degree versus getting a job works. Let's say if there is a trainee batch or an intern batch, the ratio of somebody with a degree and somebody with not a degree would be is to 1. So you really need to stand out of everybody that has applied with a degree and a good show reel. You need to really stand out if you do not have a degree and just a reel. And that too, at some point, I would still appreciate if you can just do, there are courses starting from 6 months onward. So I don't see a reason why somebody cannot do it. It'll always be advantage. Anything that you learn is not going on a waste anyway. So I think you have got the answer that you're looking for.
I think that's perfect. That's really answered the question well. So thank you for your input. And Joyce, do we have some time for some more questions?
Yes, I know we are on the hour already, but we're happy to stay another 5-10 minutes if you guys are, just to take a few more questions from the audience, because I can see there's loads coming up as I'm scrolling down to find one. So I've just lost the one I wanted to look as well. Just give me 1 second. Wait, there you go. So this one I liked, which was from Akil. Do you guys think roto, prep, and comp artists would lose their job in the near future because of the implementation of virtual production? What are your thoughts? Anyone want to take this one?
Maybe I'll go first.
Sure, go ahead.
When I was an artist in the beginning of my career, I did get to hear about motion capture technology and so on. And being an animator, we all were like scared and like one day motion capture might take away all our jobs and so on. Today, there is a lot of work for motion capture animation, but it hasn't really impacted the jobs. The way I see, virtual production will not be a big threat. Definitely, there may be some kind of an effect on it, but the regular traditional manual skills or manual skills only, be may not be able to really justify those kind of skills with the mesh artificial intelligence or some kind of a tools and software. So second thing is, I don't recommend anyone to keep looking at themselves being a roto prep or like tracking artist. I would encourage them to see if they can look for some kind of cross-cultural like department training and see if they can upgrade their skills and see if they can go out of their comfort zone and try to pick up the other innovative departments as well. So yeah, I hope that answers it. Yeah, there will be some impact, but it won't be as much as what I believe. Maybe I can look for Avni and Nikita to answer this.
I think I agree to Shiva. So there's nothing to worry as such. But it is always important in general to keep upgrading yourself, getting trained cross department, training in cross department. That's really important. So you can always do that. But I don't think there is anything to worry.
I would agree with that. I think as far as you're evolving and you're keeping up to date, there is no need to worry. And the amount of work that is coming to our industry is like huge. And even if your department might close by any chance, there are several other departments that would be opening, and you might have keen interest in those departments, and you might switch yourself without even knowing. So,
yeah.
Sorry, my mute button froze. Thank you for answering that question. Jess, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I've seen a question here which is a bit different from some of the others because it's asking how to join as a production coordinator or even on the production side of things. We've spoken a lot about show reels and being an artist, but from the production side of things in the company, how would you go about from applying, I guess? And
so it depends from companies to companies. Usually they are open to candidates from VFX or animation background, or they're also open to people from the mass communication background, journalism background. So people do apply from media related background as well in production. So people can apply on these areas. The plus point what VFX candidate would have when they apply in production related jobs is they are aware of the work, and the other person from the media or other background when they apply would be they have to work harder to learn the departments and everything, and which has happened. There are many success of the people who are from other departments and they have strongly established themselves as very good production person. So I think the eligibility wise, it is obviously the industry specific courses, but if they're also from the media related background, they can still apply in production. Communication is the key. They have to be very strong in terms of communication, verbal or written, should be good at listening, understanding and communicating, taking notes and conveying it to people, and getting the work done in a very smooth manner. And I think these are the qualities which the production person should have. I think we've already discussed that in one of our previous questions about the production person. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to add on to that, Shiva?
Sure. So, first of all, in India, like most of the studios, we have a first level of entry job in production management, which is production assistant. So one can certainly look for opportunities to work as a production assistant first before they try to get into production coordinator job. So for production assistant, if they have got education in animation or VFX pipeline, that would have been an added advantage. But again, it may not be the main thing. It's very important, like we have already discussed earlier. It is very important to see to that, they have that kind of a spunk and they have that people skills, and they should not go with the mindset that, oh, I wanted to be a coordinator and I will be a coordinator. They should certainly try to first understand how does this like a production management differentiate from creative department and the technical department, and where does they stand, and how do they bridge the gap between the client or the creative heads or technology heads and work with the artists. and very importantly, the importance of them trying to have the projections with the given amount of time and the number of team members plus the kind of quality bar they would have in mind and so on. And at the same time, they should also have good clarity of thought with career progression. Hey, the production assistant would start here, coordinator, then the production supervisor or a line producer or a producer or a production manager and head of production. In fact, I would encourage someone to really talk to other production coordinators or production assistants who are working in other studios and try to understand as much as they can. On top of it, they should not hesitate to go and pull a job description of a production like supervisor or a line producer or a producer and see what it takes for them to be someone to be like that in future and have that kind of vision right in the beginning and go about it. It is definitely possible, and I think with right guidance and right homework, one could definitely get a job into like production assistant or production coordinator.
Just would like to have one more thing what Shiva told with that. It's also important to have very good analytical skills. You should be good in maths, with numbers. You should not freak out such a big, huge, colorful screen and freak out with one. So you should be composed and you should be good with numbers. That's also important.
Okay, great. Thank you. Joyce, would you like to pick up with another question?
Yeah, so we are getting close to the end. So we are going to take 2 more questions from the audience. So I'll take the first one here. This one was quite interesting from Rishab. I have a question regarding LinkedIn. If one is currently working in an industry but wants to switch to the VFX industry, they might have to not put up open to work on their LinkedIn. Does that put them at a disadvantage, especially given this critical time? I think this is a question quite for everyone. I think this might be something that's kind of on everyone's radar. Who wants to take this question?
I'm sorry, I didn't follow this question. Can you just elaborate a bit to me?
Yeah, sure. I think what Rishab is trying to say is that if you want to transition into a different industry, switch to the VFX industry, and you on a LinkedIn at the moment you have this tag where it says open to work on your picture, does that come across as a disadvantage if you are looking for jobs when you have that kind of indication on your profile? And whether that would cause any issues if you want to move to a different industry such as the VFX industry?
Yeah. So, Nikita, would you like to go or shall I?
I think Shiva will go first, then I will join.
Yeah. So my answer is no. It will not have any impact whether you try to put that frame on your display picture open to work, or if you don't have that thing, it doesn't matter. But what is important is in your title, you could possibly say looking for work in animation or looking for work in VFX or available for work in animation. So it will be nice to have it so that when someone really looks at your profile, they would pay attention to the title and say, oh, someone is looking for work. What roles are they looking for? And they might explore it. As we are discussing about this point, I would also like to mention nowadays, LinkedIn has become the modern resume. So you need to really keep your LinkedIn tidy and make sure that it is well presentable, because people sometimes won't even ask for your resume if your LinkedIn is well updated. On top of it, having a great display picture is more important rather than having frame or not having frame. It doesn't matter. So it's all about your stuff and how appropriate you are presenting yourself and so on. People, especially recruiters, won't pay attention to these kind of small things. It's all about your reel and your experience, your skills, and so on.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add anything?
I think Shiva answered it. That's fine. We can move on to the next one.
Yeah, fantastic. Jess, do you want to take the final question?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few, but this one, I don't think we've touched much on it. So I'm going to go for this one, which is, do you encourage freelancers and do you have any suggestions for freelancers to get more work, which I think is especially relevant at the moment. So yeah, freelance specific question. Who would like to start us off?
Yep.
Yeah, go for it.
I think you need to make sure reel which attracts freelancers. And I have seen a lot of people nowadays like putting their work on social media, so that also helps. Like you should be your own PR and try to sell yourself that this is the kind of work I do and this is the amazing work I have. And I feel LinkedIn is an amazing platform where you could keep showing your work and you could keep showing your progress, so that maybe if somebody is looking for that kind of specific work that you do, they know about you and they just know that you're the target, and he needs to give all that work to you. And you need to be very social, I feel, in terms of that, in terms of displaying your work, that if you're looking for a lot of freelance.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Would anyone else like to add to?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
So I personally would encourage like junior artists and mid-level artists to see if they can avoid trying to become freelancers right in the early stage of their career. It would be nice if they can be able to work on their shots or their scenes or sequences individually with the minimal supervision, and also be more organized in terms of the overall project and so on. So again, it depends on the style of the lifestyle one would like to have. Being a freelancer, you have a lot of pros and cons, and being a full-time employee, you have a lot of pros and cons. You have to weigh in everything and see what is best for you. But till mid-level, I would encourage you guys to look for a proper regular jobs. Yeah.
Great. And Nikita, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I completely agree with Shiva. Like in the beginning of your career, try to be an artist which is regularly working in any studio, be it any studio of your choice and as per your skill. When we talk about freelancer, I've come across profiles where people are doing their personal work or something, and they term it as a freelance artist, which is not exactly what it is. When somebody is a freelancer from the studio and given the work from the studio or somewhere, that's when they become a freelancer. So it's very important that so how would somebody know if I'm an entry level? How would they know that I do great work? Because I have no network, not many people have seen my work. So it is important for you to come to a certain level and then claim yourself to be a freelance artist or try to be a freelance artist. So have they got the answer? Is that what they were looking?
I think so. I think we've definitely covered it. That's a great amount of information. So thank you so much for answering that. I think that's all we have time for. Or do we have any more time?
There are so many questions. I feel like we would be here all day otherwise. So I do apologize. We do have to slowly end the webinar. But if there's any burning questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'd be happy to connect you with the speakers as well. And as they said, please do connect with them on LinkedIn if you have any direct questions for them as well. Other than that, thank you everyone for joining today's session. I hope it was insightful for you. Thank you at London ACM SIGGRAPH for being part of this webinar. Thank you, Shiva, Avani, and Nikita for being part of this as well, and also showing and sharing your expertise with us and the community as well. And I hope this was great for you guys. Thank you, and stay safe wherever you are.
Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone.